Did not plan on making a video today, but we actually have some breaking news here. This is our first like confirmed report and ban that has happened under the new circumstances. And this is very interesting because it's not coming the way I expected to. I thought, maybe asking for this type of thing to be sent to me, I would be getting people who actually were banned or people like new people who were banned and they would be sending me emails and a lot of it would be word of mouth. But this is actually the best way that I could receive this because it's actually coming from Blizzard. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to give my thoughts on this and I would definitely like to hear your guys' thoughts on this down below, okay? So here's a player in the customer support forum, and I'm going to say we were actually just talking about this in yesterday's video about like a different game. I think it was like Rust or something like that, who they have this like support forum and people constantly post like, I didn't do anything that I should be banned for. You guys are bad. Unfix this problem or whatever, unmess this problem or whatever, and then the people who run the forum, they'll post the facts and then shut them down, okay? And this is actually how Blizzard operates too, which I love. This guy who is going to reply to this guy I actually did meet when I went to BlizzCon, I think it was 2018, and yeah, he's an awesome guy. I have a lot of respect for this guy. He's been there forever as well. So let's read the post. He says, I have never been suspended or banned ever. All of a sudden, this new rollout, I got suspended for 7 days. Is this normal? I thought you got like a silence or some kind of warning before a suspension. I don't know, but everyone says you shouldn't be suspended if it's a first offense. And so this guy is confirming a few things. He hasn't confirmed that it's for leaving yet, but it is confirmed in the thread. I'll say that. He confirms that 7 days. Wow. Okay, that's pretty. That's a pretty heavy ban. A couple of people were saying 10 days, but yeah, again, no proof. But this is proof. 7 days for this guy's claiming his first offense. And now this is a question that it's hard to answer because is it his first offense of this nature? Has he been suspended or banned for other things? Has he been silenced? I don't know. He's claiming no. There's no, nobody's refuting this in this thread, so we don't know for sure. But yeah, this is very interesting how it plays out. Then, a lot of people are commenting on it. He says something that has been deleted. So unfortunately, we missed some of these posts. But he said something, and then you could tell by Toby's reaction that it sounds like something like this, right? The guy says, to be fair, Blizzard doesn't care if someone else did it first. Which is I know this guy a lot. I used to be an MVP on the forum, so this maybe it's a girl, I don't know, but this person is like very active, very, very, very active on the forums. So I can tell by their response that the person probably said something like this. They were saying like, well, it was not too bad, and it was kind of bad, but they started it, so it's definitely not bad, right? Like they're basically hand waving, like, well, I may have called the guy subhuman illiterate, but he assaulted me first, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's definitely something like that. I could tell by the response. And then so more conversation happens, more deleted posts. Now, yeah, this one is a little bit stranger because it's deleted. And then the reply is, oh, yeah, that's new, and it wouldn't start with the silence. 7 days seems to be normal for that. So perhaps there's been more reports. I don't know exactly where people are getting that info about it being normal. But if anybody's out there and sees this stuff, please send it to me, especially if there's proof. Then a different person replies, presumably still talking, about the exact context of this post that's been deleted, said that'd presumably fall under a griefing offense. It wouldn't be a social penalty, so it doesn't use this 7-day silence, then suspension, then escalating suspensions. There's a pinned thread in GD about it actually. I'd link, but on mobile at the moment. So again, likely this guy actually probably admits to it, I would imagine. And that's why I deleted the post. Probably admitting to leaving a lot of keys, or maybe he said something that the email or whatever he got notified of got some kind of context that has led them to believe that, okay? But yeah, then he actually replies and doesn't delete it. I guess I just get unbanned and stay in these groups that are awful and do nothing, so don't get banned, I guess. This guy's got to be one of the commenters. Did we just react to this guy's comment? Anyway, I say that because only groups I leave are toxic people or people that absolutely just dying over and over and over on trash and not going to time the key anyway. But guess that isn't allowed, lol. So this is a big fucking deal. This is a fucking big deal. Huge deal. Because up until this point, there's been a lot of people who are like, Lol, this is only for people who intentionally grieve. This is for people who played Russian roulette and they decided to leave the group and like just a bunch of fucking nonsense, right? About how it's only for the most extreme cases. Your general leaver who doesn't respect the group leader or the other people in the group and makes comments like, if you guys didn't see the video yesterday, stop watching this nonsense and go watch that instead. It's an hour and a half long. We react to some unhinged people, okay? This guy's like, he's there. He's pretty much right there. And it might not look like he's there, but this is the WoW forum. So you're not allowed to say what some of those people said on my YouTube comments. This guy is there. He's based on this WoW forum version of this in the customer support. You know, you're obviously going to check yourself a little bit. He's there. This guy's in that same boat as those people who are like, lol, I can leave for whatever reason I want to. You just got fucking banned for it. I mean, this is big. This is really big, okay? So I'll read it again because it's actually crazy. He says, I don't know what this first like 6 words are really, but he says, I'll just stay in these groups that are awful and do nothing so I don't get banned, I guess. Like, oh yeah, you couldn't possibly be a better person about this. This is definitely just whatever, I'll ignore it situation, right? He says, I say that because the only groups I leave are toxic people, which has nothing to do with, I mean, it really doesn't. I don't understand this. We talked about this in the video yesterday. If they're violating a code of ethics in the game, you can report them. That doesn't make sense. Why would you leave? You would report them. You know what I mean? Like, this is the right way to handle it. You're running away from, I don't believe you. When you say this, I don't believe you. If some, like that guy yesterday, if somebody is calling you slurs, you should report them. That's what you should do. And then somehow, and the craziest part, okay, now this is twofold here because he's saying that this happens, right? I only leave groups that are toxic people or people that are absolutely just dying over and over again on trash and they're not going to time it anyway, but I guess that's not allowed. No, it's not allowed now, thankfully. I'm really glad to see that it's not allowed. But he's basically saying something like a lot of people have said where, oh, this is abnormal, you know what I mean? Or I guess he's saying it is very normal, but I think we all know it's abnormal. And he's saying that he's doing it enough that it would get banned for, you know? It just doesn't really make sense when you see them back to back. So all these people are just saying, like, you just got to appeal it. Some people are even, like, saying, like, this person's like, for sure, get that appeal in. We all know how frustrating pugging can be at times. Oh, spotted another lever. Be warned, appeals can take a few tries before you get a final outcome, and the outcome may not be what you're hoping for. I don't even understand what that means. We just keep appealing over and over again, and they still might not even, like, I don't know what that means. I'm sure there is some nuance to how Mythic Plus leaving penalty is handled. You might think that. Wait until you see the blue post. And being that it is a new rule, it will be interesting to see the ins and outs of it, since we know little to nothing about how it's enforced. Yeah, and you're probably never going to, okay? So here's what he replies. I know they won't change, but still made no sense that they suspend accounts because you leave crap groups and believe pugging 14 hours a day. You get a lot of bad groups. Oh, I can only imagine, yeah. But they don't seem to think so, I guess. I know one morning it took 10 groups to get one to even complete on time. Oh, really? That's so abnormal, I feel like. So, yeah, I don't know that they look at that, but they need to look at more than, oh, they left. They need to look at their logs, info, and see how crap those groups are or what they may have said, etc. And the abusive language that flies in chat when you leave a group should also be looked at. The guy's self-reporting. Why do you guys do this? I mean, bro, you could have said a million things here, right? Like, it's actually scary because there's people in that video that we reacted to, right, that made a better case than this guy's making right now. There's people who are like, well, they insulted my mother. I won't stand for that on her grave. You know, it's like, bro, you could have said anything here. You could have said anything. He actually told the truth. So respect for that, but kind of not respect for that because it wasn't a very smart play. He said, I can't even do this with a straight face. He said, it makes no sense that they suspend accounts because you leave crap groups. Yeah. I wonder why they're doing that. I would love to hear why they're doing that, okay? So anyway, this guy says, while I can understand your frustration, I would strongly urge you to appeal since you seem to believe the action is unwarranted. At the very worst, they tell you no. At the best, you get your action overturned, the mark on your account cleared. An appeal is specifically, okay, so he's just advising them. Then he says, yeah, they said they did, but they didn't. presumably about the appeal. I assume if they say they did, they probably did, and you didn't win. Anyway, so now I have to wait, but I guarantee I will be reporting every bad word, every leave, every little thing from now on. So funny they can ban their player base, but can't ban all these pay site ads. Too funny. Obviously, gotta keep moving the goalpost every time. You can't possibly just fucking own it, bro. How hard is that, man? Like, it really isn't that hard to just be a good group mate, to be a good teammate, man. I don't know why it is so difficult for people. It's actually crazy, but thanks for the chat. See you on the 3rd with my report button in hand. I mean, I get it. It's probably not very fun to get banned. I could imagine I would feel bad too, but this person said you had to put several in, keep trying, do not harass them or be rude, maintain professional discourse. He said, it said not to, and I only put in 1. So, okay, here's the man. All right, I love this dude. I spoke to him at BlizzCon, or at, the headquarters, and his main concern was with the new forums is that they were not going to have his old model was like an actual centaur from the game, and the centaur in the game, apparently part of the model has flies floating around its head, which I never noticed, but he commented on that and he said I had named these flies. I don't remember exactly what he named them, but there's 3 flies floating around the head of a centaur in the game. Every single one has this. And as such, his icon on the old forums had it because it was animated. Now it is just a static picture, and he was really disappointed with that. That was my takeaway from that, and it was that just really made me chuckle. So this dude is like, he's like the Batman of this universe. Okay, he's literally dishing out vigilante justice here. He says, so this guy's saying like, well, they didn't reply or whatever he's saying, like they didn't adequately do their job here. He said they did review the matter and compared it to the data that our hacks team provided. I'm afraid you seem to have reached the threshold that they had with this action. Understand, the number wasn't small. As they said, they understand the occasional leave, but there were scores that took that number beyond reasonable. Scores. Does that mean something? What does that word mean? You are welcome to appeal again, but I don't know that the outcome will be any different. So let's break this down for what it is, okay? Understand the number wasn't small, okay? Now, this is important to me because this guy says, where was it? He says that, leaving crap groups, basically saying toxicity is causing him to leave, okay? But then does go on to say 14 hours a day of pugging, you're going to get a lot of bad groups. So he says this. Then he says this, one morning it took 10 groups to even complete a dungeon on time. What happened to the other 9? Did you leave 9 groups? Did you do fucking 10 dungeons and you left 9 of them? So a lot of people think like, oh, you have to be like somebody who is going out of their way to troll, like to get suspended for this. You have to say like, oh, I'm maliciously doing this. I'm going to sign up with the intention of not doing the dungeon. That's what a lot of people believed. And that's not what it's looking like to me. Now, we don't know. Like, maybe we can probably see this guy. I mean, we might as well do it, right? I didn't even think to do this. The problem is, and the reason I didn't think to do this is because a lot of people don't actually use their main on the forums. Okay, this guy does. 2717 Rat Pally. Yeah, mostly done 11s, done a few 12s, probably not upgrade them maybe. Who knows? Mostly 10s and 11s. But yeah, he's played the character, he's played the game. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there might be something there, but it's not really anything that we could comment on. But, he does seem to do a lot of dungeons. I mean, he did until he got banned, like a couple days here. But who knows? 11/22. That was a week ago now. So did he do that one dungeon and that's it? Or did he do 20 dungeons and this is the only one they finished? See, this is the problem with Raider IO. A lot of people do this where they don't finish the dungeon if it doesn't look like it's going to be in time. And, you could try to say whatever you want to say about that, but yeah, there's a 12 out of time. But reality is it's cheating. Like, this is cheating. If you're leaving dungeons that don't look like they're going to be in time and you're doing that to potentially have some kind of better sheet, I'm not saying this guy's doing that, but I know a lot of people who do that. the dungeon happened. You failed the dungeon. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to say like, oh, you did one dungeon a day. Well, you upgraded that one. That's pretty good. Everybody knows. Like, nobody does one dungeon and logs off, So anyway, the fact that he says all this and, is now basically saying, and this is just like that guy we were just talking about, where he's talking about like how much abusive language there is. I mean, I know that does happen. People get very mouthy at times, but not 9 out of 10 groups. You know what I mean? Not very regularly. I just assume that everybody who's talking about this in this context is agitating it, is causing it. And it's very, very, very good to see Blizzard say this. The number wasn't small. And again, I want to come back to that because a lot of people think like, well, you would never be able to reach the number. Like they said, a great many keys, right? So you would never be able to reach that perceived number unless you were intentionally going on. You were like manufacturing failure, right? You were trying to be a bad person on purpose to, there's been people who've done that where, you didn't invite my alt to a key, so now I'm going to go brick your key, like people like that. Those people should get banned, right? But in reality, that's probably only going to happen once, right? That's what I was trying to tell people. Like, do you know a lot of people who spend 5 hours a day leaving other people's keys before they start? Like, I don't know anybody. I've never ran into anybody who's done that. So I think this is more common. I really do. I think it's a lot of people, kind of like myself, who plan on playing for 4 to 5 hours. They have that in their head, and they do keys for that whole time. They don't stop when it fails. I think a lot of people would look at the game's failure rate and be like, oh, well, I'm just going to stop for the day. But you kind of can't because it's every day. So a lot of people just budget time. They do keys for a set period of time, and every key that doesn't go well, they leave. And you might think like, well, just the other day we had this conversation about my failure rate and why I should be introspective on that. But I'm pretty sure everybody has the same failure rate because I'm not the one leaving the keys. You know what I mean? Like, how could we say that if there's all these people leaving keys early that they have somehow a better success rate than I do? It doesn't really make any sense. I think this is a huge problem that's endemic of the game. And I think if everybody kept their own stats, you would be fucking staggered. You would be floored by the number of disbands that you might have. Because I am. I'm not the one leaving. You know what I mean? So could you imagine if I left like 9 out of 10 keys? How do you succeed at that rate? If this is what truly happened here, you would be shocked. Because I do 10 keys a day in 4 hours a lot, maybe sometimes even more. And if 90% of them were not... if I was the one leaving 90% of them, that would be adding up to 400 runs a season. Like we would be talking about, if you truly played, like he said, 12 hours a day, we'd be talking about near 500 ended keys that you might have caused. I mean, this is all just extrapolation based on what's being said. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about what he said. But the way they say it is the number wasn't small. It adds up, man. Like if you're thinking about like, well, I only leave keys that are justified, bro. It's like, are we sure they don't care about that? I mean, this post might put some more fear into some people's eyes, man. And then they say this. They understand the occasional leave. And we talked about that again. Like, some reasons that leaving is okay. But the way he says it, the occasional, like, it's almost like, oh, it's really maybe once or twice a day. That's it. That's it. You'll get 1 or 2. You know what I mean? They did say that if everybody agrees to stop, then it's fine. But considering that dude's not doing above 12s, I bet a lot of people are not really agreeing to stop. I bet a lot of people do not want to stop. And this guy's probably somebody who's breaking up the key on his own. You know what I mean? And he's talking about it being justified because there's a lot of trash stats. Like, go read the comment section in these last 2 videos, man. Multiple people, again, anecdotal, but multiple people reported that they have done keys with people doing 300k DPS overall, like that comment. People have done keys with 4 people total. People have keys break up and continue without a full group and all end in upgrades. So tell me how you think you're better than everybody else and that you cannot possibly succeed with them, right? Because this is crucial to their argument that they are leaving to save their own time because if they don't, they're going to be in there for 6 hours or some nonsense. Tell me how you think that's possible. Based on the current success rates we see in keys that are 10 or lower. There's no possible way that you are in that boat. It's just not possible. There's people who are bizarrely bad at the video game still upgrading keys every single day. It doesn't make any sense, okay? So either you suck too and you're not able to carry these mediocre players, or you're just a selfish dick. Like, that's it. That's really the only two options in my eyes. You either are judging them before the success rate even comes into play, or you actually are bad too, and you are contributing to these problems. That's all there is. So anyway, this guy pretty much said what I just said, only with 7 or 8 words. Sounds to me that the system is working as intended. Now, he replies to the blue poster, which is always a little scary to do. He says they don't play their game to see that when you play 14 hours a day and you leave 10 groups that day, you're going to leave a lot more groups with the awful community that is so toxic, and players that don't even know what they're doing expect you to stay and wipe for hours. No, not gonna happen. Not with this guy. But I will make sure to report people for being bad in keys and breaking them and cursing and everything else, because reporting is what we do now. So reporting it is for sure. And that's all I have to say on this matter. That's a pretty good idea. That's a great idea, because you could end up with Jambo like a 456-day ban. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, you got some fucking balls. You got some fucking balls to say to a blue poster, an employee of the company who is working to give you the information you are refuting, that they don't play their game. I mean, I don't, this is such bad English, it's hard to understand exactly if that's what this guy is trying to say, but I assume what he's saying is the people who reviewed, right? They did review this matter and they compared it. The number wasn't small. You deserved your ban. His reply, whoever reviewed my fucking ban doesn't even play the game. They don't know, bro, how bad these idiots are that I'm doing 10s with. They have no idea, bro. I go in there and I'm a fucking rep pally. I press 3 buttons. My cooldown activates automatically. I'm not going to suffer this guy who accidentally died to a trash mob. You are get the hell out of here, man. I pay $15. Do you know how many fucking cups of coffee that can buy? I can get 3 whole cups of coffee for that fucking $15 a month, bro. You're going to listen to me. It's not going to happen. Wait till you see what he says. This person said, yeah, anyway, out of this argument, anyway, he says, yes, they do. That's a great answer. Yeah, they do. They know what they're talking about. I don't know a single developer or member of our hacks team that doesn't. I assume saying doesn't play the game. And the whole point is to go by the data. Meaning playing the game has nothing to do with this. If you were impacted by this action, it generally means that your number, compared to others in comparable situations, was outstandingly higher. I'm sorry that this isn't something we can really debate here, and I cannot provide details on those thresholds, but everything we've been given indicates that they were exceptionally high. Now, what do you guys think? Here's what I want to hear from you guys specifically. You can leave comments on whatever you like, but everybody should answer this question for me. What you think the answer to this question is. How many keys do you guys think this guy leaves on average? Like just a percentage. Because based on what he said, I mean, he said this twice now. 14 hours a day? Who does that? Come on. You actually saying that? Like, is that real? Are you actually playing 14 hours a day? And he said leaving 10 groups that day. Okay, so realistically, if you're talking about 14 hours of keys a day, which nobody's doing, that's just nonsense. 14 hours a day, 10 groups a day, that's not even that many, to be honest. That's not even that many. So where's the rest of your failures coming? Because, you know, that's a lot of keys, 14 hours a day. That'd be like probably almost 100 keys that day if you're not finishing a lot of them. So anyway, I mean, I just can't believe that he said some of these things. He's trying to basically, you know, blame Blizzard and the community for getting banned here. It's really embarrassing. And I love how he tries to say this and Vrak is just like, nah, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. I work with these people for the last 20 years. You don't know shit about this. Stay banned. You know, that's basically what he would have said. He's a really cool dude. He's got a great sense of humor. And I think, you know, if it wasn't for the PR bullshit, there would be a lot of fucking vigilante justice being delivered on this support forum. It's actually worth reading here and there because this kind of thing gets posted a lot. And somebody was like, hey, I never spoke a single word in the game. And then he'll post the receipts. You know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think about this. I really, really, really want to hear your thoughts, especially if this changes your mind at all. Because a lot of people were saying like, well, you'd have to do, like I said this like 8 times now, but You'd have to be some kind of huge outlier. It's not for your average person. And do you think maybe this guy is a huge outlier? I mean, honestly, some of the things he's saying does register as a huge outlier, but I would not say that he is the outlier that a lot of people thought that was being targeted here, where they're only banning people who are like known, like people who are actually going out of their way to leave groups. This doesn't sound like that. This guy sounds like he's just trying to do keys, and he has terrible control of his own emotions, and he's talking about you're going to leave a lot of groups. That day, you're going to leave a lot more groups with the awful community that is so toxic, and players that don't even know what they're doing expect you to stay and wipe for hours. I swear this guy left a comment on our video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.